While I was on vacation in Sweden recently, I was on Twitter and found this picture of Park Avenue in New York. Obviously, it's an old picture, but I love this picture. The reason I love it is because it immediately got me thinking about Kaninawa Boulevard right here in the middle of Linden, and it got me thinking that we could probably do something similar to Park Avenue with this boulevard. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start today by going in and essentially getting rid of all of my tram lines. Now, obviously, this is kind of drastic. We have some very, very popular tram lines right here with Tramline 3. But I'm pretty sure I can consolidate all of my tram lines into maybe 3 of them instead of 5. And also, this is just easier than having some weird tram lines because I'm about to bulldoze an entire section of road. I'm also going to bulldoze a bunch of buildings here because I just don't happen to need them anymore. They are going to be getting replaced eventually, but for the time being, a whole bunch of these buildings around here just need to go. And you might notice that there is a little symbol on the screen there. That's the Anarchy mod. I've got a few more mods installed, actually. One of them, by the way, you might have noticed already. I can't run the game while I'm showing you this because the buildings are going to come back. Let me get rid of the zoning, actually. That would make a lot more sense rather than just bulldozing the buildings and then being like, oh my God, the buildings. Yeah, there's a way to do this through developer mode, which I do have running. I'm not really going to use just yet, but I've got a mod that has got rid of the road wear, like the white sort of wear and tear that's on the roads by default. I don't actually know if I like it. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of miss the sort of white-ish stripes that are on the roads. I think it would look better if I was using by default an American theme for my roads. I think it would have like the yellow stripe down the middle for a lot of the roads. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Should we bring the wear and tear back or do we keep it like this nice and clean? It just looks a little too clean in my opinion, but we'll do it by a vote. And if you guys decide that we're keeping it away and we're keeping the nice clean roads, that's what we do. I've got no problem doing it. Just let me know in the comments below. I should probably mention that the other cool thing about this Anarchy mod is that I can go in and just do that. I can just delete vehicles with it, which is really exciting because sometimes vehicles in this game do get stuck. And so being able to just delete them is kind of cool. There's also a lot of people that aren't going to be happy about me getting rid of their buildings here, but they'll survive, I'm sure. Is there a target surfaces? Oh man, there's so much you can do with the Anarchy now. It's kind of wild. I don't know why I'm getting rid of these trees with the bulldozer. I should just use the tree brush. It's been a minute since I played Cities Skylines 2. I'm not gonna lie. It's been kind of nice in a way. It's not, you know, I've got nothing against it. I've kind of expressed my concerns with the game and where my issues may be, and I have my hopes that things will get better, and I'm sure they will. It's just been kind of nice. Things were very Cities Skylines 2 centric for a while there, and that was obviously intentional. As we were coming up to launch, I wanted to cover the developer diaries and all the insight stuff. I should have done that months ago, but it's fine. It's been nice. I've been kind of living and breathing this game since 2 months before it came out, and yeah, it's been nice to just kind of chillax. I don't use the word. I hate the word chillax, but it's been nice to kick back, relax, go on vacation for a little bit, enjoy the holidays, drink a little bit more bourbon than I should have. I've really gotten into bourbon this last year or two, probably the last year or so. I've kind of really gotten into bourbon. The more I play Red Dead Redemption 2, the more I want to drink bourbon. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing or if that's a credit to the game, but it's true. It's definitely, it's become a thing. Anyway, what I want to do here is basically just bring a one-way road across this entire thing. Essentially, we are just replacing the avenue with a wider avenue. We're kind of hand making the avenue as opposed to having the one that the game has by default. I know that seems silly, but I just think it's going to look great. I really do. I hope and I think that this is going to look really good. That's the plan. That's the idea here. The thing is, I can't do detailing on the regular avenues in the middle, right? So that's what I want to do with this. Now, I will say, I like that picture of Park Avenue that I talked about. Part of the reason I like it is the buildings on either side, and I'm not necessarily going to be able to do that here because we're going to have this one-way road on the side here already, unless I move the entire university forward, which I don't know that I'm willing to do. That seems like a little bit of a step too far. Please don't crash. Please. Okay, we're good. I've been I've been messing about with mods for a while to make sure that the game's going to run, and I'm really it makes me nervous every time it seizes up. I'm just like, please don't, because I want to play this, man. I have been kind of missing it, and just it occasionally crashing is really demoralizing, because you play for, you don't play City Skylines for 20 minutes, right? That's the thing. That's like one of my biggest weird sort of changes of pace with City Skylines 2 is you can kind of sit down with the first game and you can play for an hour, maybe 2, and you can have a good time, and it's great. With City Skylines 2, it's like you kind of can't do that. There's no playing City Skylines 2 for an hour. I mean, you can. You're just not going to get much done is what I find. Ooh, that apparently doesn't want to work. Can I use Anarchy to just make that happen now? Oh my God. That's perfect. Now, yes, there are trees on this road. Again, that's kind of what Anarchy does. But the fact that I can just ignore the validation checks now. I mean, again, this is something you can do in developer mode. You can kind of go in and be like, yeah, just ignore the complaints. But that's so good. That is so, oh, that makes me so happy. I mean, it's not a great looking corner, but honestly, that does make me so happy. Now, here's the question. What is going on with this intersection? Do I want to drop this down to maybe just use 2 lanes instead? That might not be a bad idea. I think 2 lanes might be a bit better for this whole thing. That doesn't want to work. Anarchy, please. Ooh. Oh no, that's not good at all. Okay, we might have to mess about with this. We might have some changes to make here. But I almost wonder if I get rid of this road, does it fix it? It sort of does, actually. So that road was kind of the problem. I'm willing to kind of go in and make some drastic changes here, to be completely honest, because this is a major drastic change to the city that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'm willing to kind of mess about with this and see what we can do. I'm also thinking that it's probably not a bad idea to go in and create little crossover points like this, since traffic will want to get over there. And I really am missing those wear and tear marks on the roads. I genuinely am. I'm also thinking that it's probably stupid to just do a one-way thing there, and it probably makes a lot more sense to just do this instead. And we'll just connect it up to the avenue over here as well, since that probably makes a little bit more sense. So just run that straight across, a couple of crossover points. Do we have any other? I mean, we have this one. We could do a pedestrian section here. Honestly, maybe. Again, if we look at the picture of Park Avenue, there's a lot of crossover points, so it probably makes sense. So let's play around with it a little bit. I don't know if my measurements are going to be good here, or if things are going to be even. I think this is, which is fine. So what's the distance between these 2 roads? 28 units. That's another mod, by the way. I've got a mod that shows me units now rather than whatever it was before. I mean, it still shows the distance in meters, I think. No, it doesn't. Okay, well, fair enough. So that's 28 units right there. So that means that these 3 gaps are all even. This one is, I guess I'm going to try and do the same again. So if we do 28 here, that's 32. 28's right here. So that means I can sort of do the same decoration in between a bunch of these roads. This one is 29. So that's actually pretty good. That works out. This junction, this whole thing we had going on down here, I'm not super concerned about it. I would like it if if we didn't have to get rid of things, but we might have to, or at the very least, I could go in and take out all of these little paths here, take out these buildings, and maybe punch something straight through this way. That might not be a bad idea. Or at the very least, I keep saying, or at the very least, is that going to be my new thing? I hope that's not going to be. I really don't want a new thing. If you've been around this channel for a while, you'll be aware that every now and then I pick up phrases, I pick up sentences, I just pick up these, I don't know what to, or how to describe it, but I just pick up these sayings and I just keep saying them. For the longest time, it was it is what it is. That was like a really common one for a while there. So I'm really hoping. I've already forgotten what it was. I've actually, my rambling, it's just, my mind has just gone blank. I don't even know what the phrase, man, that's weird. That's, is that, oh, I don't know if I should be worried about the fact that I've just like, my mind has legitimately just forgotten the thing that I was talking about. That's probably not good. Anyway, let's get rid of that crosswalk there because we don't need it. This is honestly fine. We still maintain this little connection through here, which is all right. I'm going to replace this with a stop sign since I think, I don't know how much traffic was necessarily going through there, so I don't think it's the end of the world. And I think what I'm also going to do is just go around this parking lot with a few paths, because I know we had some that were in here before. I think those two paths existed before. And right here as well, can I get another one? I can get that to be a corner, which honestly I don't mind. We do already sort of have this connection, so we don't need multiple. I'll run this down here, which does mess with some zoning. Honestly, okay with that. And if I let the game run for a second, can I get a building here? I absolutely can, because I want a path that does this as well. So we kind of have a little row of buildings across there. We can do like a little custom park thing in here. And if we use developer mode, we can go in there and actually do some stuff with some, like not terrain paints, but like surfaces. We can do like custom grass and things like that. So we can get really, carried away with all of this. But that's a thing we'll get to. That's not going to be a right now thing. I want to get that zoning in there. And this is, you know what? We're going to replace you guys as well, is what we're going to do. I want to go in here with, do I want a tower here? We've got all these identical towers right here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go in with a North American high density housing tower there. I'm going to leave. Do I want to leave a gap? I think I'm going to leave a gap. I think we're going to take this out. We're going to switch to European. We'll do a slightly smaller one there. Hopefully they both grow. We have no high density demand right now, so it's actually possible that they just won't, which is fine by me. If and when they do, we'll put a path sort of around them to just make it look a bit different. And honestly, at some point, I want to go in here and bulldoze. How many of these towers do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of the same. There's 10, 11, 12 of the same tower. Yeah, we might want to do something about that. All right, so I've changed this road here to be a 6-lane road with a median, obviously. And I've managed to sort of connect everything down here in a way that kind of makes sense. I don't know if this is an Anarchy kind of junction or what it is. We also do have a weird connection here. I don't know what's going on with that. I might actually want to, look into that a little bit because I don't love how that looks. So let's just very quickly see. Can I get this to behave in a way that's not going to look terrible? I think that might be better. It looks better. It looks like it's moving the way I want it to. It doesn't have any weird sort of bits going on. We'll flip you into 3 lanes as well. So that's 3 lanes going into 3 down there, 3 going that way, which is perfect. We do drop down to 2 lanes over here, which is completely fine. I'm also suspecting that this is going to be a nightmare. Just the number of vehicles trying to get back and forth here. That's the thing. I'm not building this with the expectation that it's going to be good for traffic. I'm building this with the expectation that I'm going to make it look cool. So that's the idea. Whether or not that actually works out, well, we'll see. That's part of the fun, right? Stay tuned and all that. But that's just so we're clear. This is not a project that I'm expecting to be good for the flow of traffic. This is purely I have been sitting on this idea for weeks. And because I was away for a period of time over those weeks, I didn't really get the opportunity to play around with this idea. So I'm excited to do that. What I'm also thinking I'm going to do is flip some of these one-way roads. So this is going to be a one-way road and this is going to be a one-way road. And I guess this is as well. And that's potentially going to be really confusing because we have a one-way road going that way, coming this way. And then another one here. I'm almost debating whether or not it would be an idea. I don't want to move the university. I could though. Oh, I could. I could just move the entire thing down. Oh, do I want to make that kind of change though? Is that too much? That feels like too much, but I could do it. The entire thing could just shuffle and it would work just fine. I don't know if I like that kind of change. That feels like too much, but it also feels like I'm kind of thinking I'm going to do it. I might also need to get rid of my bus lines that go around there before I do, though, because this one in particular, airport to city will be fine. Emerson Square Loop, honestly, they'll be fine. They'll be, I'm doing it. They're going to be fine. I can't believe I'm about to do this, but yeah. So we can do that. I might want to save the game before I do this, though, because that's a big building to move. And then in theory, I should just be able to click. It cost me quite a bit of money to do that. But yeah, that's now moved the it's moved the university, which again is a choice that I have made. It does mean, though, that I can now go in here and change this road to be a two-way road, which is fair enough, I guess. I guess this road can go back the other way that it was originally going, and that's fine. And then this sort of one-way road that goes up and around here, I think we can sort of adapt that into a two-way road as well. I don't know if this is actually a good idea. Again, this is sort of I'm doing this because I think it'll look interesting kind of decision. It's not I think traffic's going to be better for this, but yeah, we're just going to sort of commit to this, I think, is what we're going to do. And so I'm just going to make a little connection right here. I don't think I'm going to get too worried about, you know, having this be entirely symmetrical. I think we can maybe get away with this. This, I imagine, these connections, I imagine, are going to get a little bit chaotic with traffic. But again, I'm sort of willing to see what happens, really. That's kind of where I'm at with this. I'm also going to take out this little park space that we had because I would like to get some buildings in there. And I'm tempted, actually, to push this section of road back a little bit. Obviously, we have this building here already, but my thinking is if I take this path out and I go back a little bit here. So if I have my my grid sizes proper, if I go back to about there and we cut across this way, and then we take this whole section of road out, what we're doing is essentially creating a space where I can have buildings on Madison Street here. And I think I want that. I think I want buildings on Madison Street because, again, it's going to sort of have that look of, you know, the Park Avenue thing that we're going for. This space won't have buildings, and that's okay. If anything, we can do another little connection there, and that's not the end of the world. This space will have buildings, and that's going to be good. All right, so now the game it's struggling a little bit because there are so many Sims that I have displaced from their homes. They're not going to be happy about that, but they will manage. They'll be okay. They'll recover financially and whatever else other way they need to recover. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is start getting the tram lines back in here because at this point, the roads really aren't going to change all that much. So I can go ahead and do something like this, and I can go ahead and bring this through here. And this is an asymmetrical road. I think what I'm going to do, honestly, is just flip this down into, do I want to do 4-lane divided? Is this road even that busy? I don't think it is. I don't know that I can necessarily get away with having this road. I don't know if I can get away with it just essentially being one lane for actual traffic and then a lane for a tram. I don't know if that's a good idea, but I'm gonna give it a shot is what I'm gonna do. This one is gonna stay the way it is because the tram's gonna share. Oh, you know what I could do? You know what I could potentially do here? If I wanted to be a little bit cheeky, I could run my trams right down the middle of this entire thing. Would that be too much if I put like an intersection there? It's not Anarchy that's letting me do that. I could do this, and this could take the trams away from everything else. But then how do I connect it down this way? That's the question. Is that am I getting a bit carried away with this? Maybe. Is this a terrible idea? Also maybe. Am I going to try it anyway? Absolutely. Now, I don't know. Is there anywhere this is going to work? It doesn't look like it is. And I don't think Anarchy is going to, I don't think Anarchy is going to be much use to me. I could do something like this. It's going to look really hideous. So you know what? I think we'll just have the trams go down the roads the way I kind of intended, and we'll not worry too much about it. Because again, this middle space is supposed to be decorated really nicely. It's kind of like a pedestrian area. It's a nice space for people to walk. So I think we'll just stick to the plan. All right, so now we sort of have this all coming together. We've got some buildings coming along here. We're going to have a little space at the back that's going to just have some trees lined up along there. And immediately I'm looking at this and thinking we might want to reconsider what I've got going on. We might want to consider a few more lanes on this road. So we're going to drop down to the regular 4-lane road for this guy, because I just think that's going to be a little bit better for us, since it does give the traffic the extra lanes there, and that's kind of what we're looking for. So let's also go in and make sure we have grass here. I don't want anyone parking along these roads. This one I don't care so much about. This road's going to be hidden from view, but we kind of want to have this Park Avenue style thing. We want it to look nice. People shouldn't be parking out there. In saying that, we are going to have tram stops along this. There is one here already, which is great. So let's go ahead and have a look and see where else we can get them. I think right there is solid. I think across the way is probably a good idea too. So we'll have a tram stop here. We can go down a little bit further. We have one here. We'll do one. You know what? We'll do one on the other side as well. I think that might not be a bad idea at all. Does that snaps? That actually snaps kind of to the middle there. I don't know if that's like a thing or a mod doing that, but it is snapping to like the middle of that segment. It's not doing it here though. I don't know. I don't know what was going on there. It felt like it was snapping though. So we'll do, what's that? 3 stops along here. That seems fine. We have a couple around the corner as well. These are honestly probably a little bit too close together, all things considered, but that should be fine. We do want the trams kind of coming in here and, you know, getting people from A to B in a really nice way. So let's go ahead and actually get the trams going again. So what we'll do is we'll start over here by Emerson Square. And this is going to go the entire way down here the way it did before. It's going to stop right here. It's going to come around. It's going to stop in front of the museum or the art thing. I can't remember what it's called, but it's going to come all the way around. Do I want it to go there? That seems like a really bad place for the tram to stop, actually. We're going to skip that and potentially get rid of that stop completely. But we'll just bring this the entire way down to, I'm going to say here. Do I want to go further? Do I want to go to the school and then sort of loop it around? I don't think I do. No, I don't know that I do. I think this is maybe going to be a point where the tram sort of, we could extend it out here as well. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to loop this tram a little bit further than we did before. We're going to bring it out to McGregor Island and have it go all the way around McGregor Island. We're going to have it come up to the top end of McGregor Island and then down to this stop. So it sort of loops around the island. It comes down past the school again, which means I'm going to want to have a stop here. So what we'll do is add a waypoint for now so that I remember to add a stop there later. And we'll just bring this all the way back to Emerson Square. I think we had 2 tram lines doing this before. So now just having this one major tram line doing it is going to be a bit of a departure. It's going to make it a lot longer. But I'm hoping that people are going to be like, hey, this is really cool. I can now just get on one tram and go anywhere. So we'll see how that goes. And I guess what we'll do, like I said, is we'll go in and bulldoze this guy because I don't think I want that tram stop anymore. And I mean, looking at it, yeah, there's a bit of a distance between those stops, but I find that walking distances in City Skylines 2 actually tend to be pretty solid. So I'm not actually all that worried about it. I think we'll be okay. What we'll do though is add a stop here. We'll go in, we'll grab this waypoint and move on to the stop. So now that tram runs the entire length of the city essentially, which is kind of nuts, but I'm sort of okay with it. Let's go ahead and just, so tram line 1, I'm not going to bother renaming it. I am going to make it sort of bright yellow though. And that should be fine. So that's kind of cool actually. Although we do have trams that did come down into Rosewood as well. So let's go ahead very quickly and get those running again as well. And there we go. We now have 2 alternating blue tram lines that go down past the high school and come down through Rosewood as well towards the elementary school. So that is all sorted. That should be our trams going back out. And that brings us from 5 tram lines down to just the 3. This one is 14.8 kilometers, which I think is... It is longer than the tram lines used to be, but it's not the end of the world. It's aiming for 14 vehicles. honestly, I think we'll be all right there. I do. I think that'll be fine. I'm not 100% sure if people are going to love the fact that the line is now much longer, but at the very least, it does mean you can get on a tram over on McGregor Island and just stay on that tram all the way to Emerson Square. Now, speaking of Emerson Square, I did get rid of a bus line. I got rid of the bus line that was going around Emerson Square because it was having problems. So I need to replace it, basically, is what I need to do. So we're going to go from here and we're going to go all the way up in here. This isn't really the troublesome area for this bus line anyway. It was kind of more down towards all the new stuff that I've done. So we'll bring it down here and then I'm going to add a waypoint. Actually, can I just bring it there? So I can bring it down through here. I think what I'll do is I'm going to add a waypoint for this bus line here. And then for it to get in there, it would have to sort of U-turn here, which I really don't want it to do. So that's where the trouble was with this line. So maybe we don't add a waypoint where I had it. Can I bring it in this way? I absolutely can. What if we did that instead? And sort of bring it through in front of City Hall, which isn't the worst place in the world for it to go. Yes, it's not really servicing the university as well as it could be. And maybe, well, actually, we have a bus stop down here as well. Do I want it to go that way? I think I do, actually. So we'll have it go here. We'll have it go here. And then it can sort of come out down through sort of across this. No, it can't go across that avenue. Ooh, it has to loop back, doesn't it? I don't love that. I'm not going to lie. I don't necessarily love that. But I guess what we'll do is have it sort of loop back on itself. We'll stop it in front of this building. We'll stop it in front of the tower here. We can stop it in front of City Hall, bring it all the way sort of down through this space, which apparently it doesn't really want to do, or at least it's having trouble pathfinding that way. And then we can bring it out here, which again, it really doesn't seem to want to do, but we bring it out and then it can loop up here, no problem. So this is going to be the Emerson Square loop line. That's what it was called before. That's what it's going to be called again. So that's it right there. It's currently going to be bus line 3 because that's what it was. So 3 is Emerson Square loop. And so now we have that back. We can sort by name again. We can go to here, make it bright red like the rest of them. And I also want to, because we have got some people living out there, electric buses. That seems like the way to go. And now with that all done, I want to go in here and I want to add some bus stops to it because we didn't have them there before. So what we'll do is a bus stop right about here. We are going to do a bus stop right about, I am going to say here as well. It's not perfectly central, but that's fine. It's not the end of the world. We'll do one right about here as well. And I don't know if I need another one out here. I kind of like this spot though, so we'll do one right there. And we'll just sort of move these waypoints. Ooh, no. That is not what I need you to be doing. Wait a minute. That is not at all what I need you to be doing. I need you on the other side of that road. There we go. So that basically, the bus stop's kind of backwards, but it's not the end of the world. We'll just, I really need it on the other side. That's not quite what I'm looking for. And so now with that done, the only thing left to do really is come in here and start to detail the spaces that we have. We have spaces in and around the university that I'd like to do some things with. Honestly, I might even just go so far as saying that we just put buildings in there. I'm not that attached to sort of the idea of doing detailing in here because I have to do it the entire way along this avenue anyway. So in all honesty, it might not be a bad idea. We can also sort of feather out this skyline a little bit if we do like a little 4x4 tower right there. And then maybe, I don't know, I don't want to do low rent housing. I don't want to do high density housing either. We could admittedly do a 3x3 high density housing tower, but again, there's no demand for it, so there's probably not much point in doing that. I think what we'll do instead is just a bit of high density business. We have got demand for that, so we can fill up that space. And then back here, honestly, I'm really not that attached to this space. So I think what I'm going to do is take out pretty much all of these paths along this section. I'll keep this bit because it's kind of nice and I'll extend it down a bit. And we'll do something similar in here. But this whole area, honestly, I'm just going to zone it. I think we're just going to say it's going to be high density high density or mixed use? What would look better? I think North American mixed use would look better back there. Well, maybe. What does it look like down here? So this is the front of these buildings down here, which honestly, this has the look that I'm going for. This is kind of getting that Park Avenue vibe. The backs of these buildings are relatively bland, which in a good way. They look great, but they're bland compared to this, which I think is going to make for a good backdrop. So that's what we're going to do. Going to use the good old mixed use zoning right there. And then we're just going to go in with a couple of paths through this space. And that's basically how we're just going to break this up. So that's the idea. Let me also just break some of these down because I really, I'm not 100% sold on the anarchy there, to be quite honest with you. I'd like the trees to go away. I'd also like this to build in a way that gives me buildings all the same size, if possible. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but I'd like it to be. There we go. So yeah, that should be perfectly fine. That'll be great. And then on this side, we'll just do the same thing. We'll bring the path down and then figure out what we're doing with these spaces. Honestly, probably zoning to be, yeah, that's probably going to be zoning, and this is already zoning. So that's fine. I think that's a good use of the space. I think it just works. And so with that all ready to go, what I'm now going to do is a little bit of landscaping. And here's the cool thing about this Anarchy mod. It plugs into everything. I'm using a different line tool to what I'd used before. And because I've got Anarchy enabled, first off, this line tool gives me adult trees from what I gather. I think I can also do randomized rotation, which is fantastic. So these things are all going to be rotated differently. But because Anarchy's on, they can be kind of close together. So I can just have a really tight line of trees right there. I think I'll go to 10 meters or maybe 9 to get one right at the end there. Yeah, that's perfect. So I want to do just a line of birch trees right there and instantly, you know, landscaping just instantly because, you know, they're adult trees and that's what we're looking for. And then exactly the same thing over on this side as well. We'll do the adult birch trees just like so. And you know what I want to do? I want to do some adult birch trees right down the middle between these buildings. So we have like a really sheltered kind of shaded path down here. And maybe 10 meters is what we're looking for. Nope, 11 is going to be what we're looking for right there. And with the randomized rotation, they're all... Wait, are they rotated? Wait, no, it randomizes the rotation of the first click. Never mind. They're not all randomly rotated, but it's good enough. Honestly, I'm kind of okay with that. And then what I might do is just turn off the randomized rotation for a second because I'd like this to be rotated something like that. And then I'm just going to bring some bushes across here. Now, these guys need to be really close together to look the way I want them to look. Does it have to be 1 or 2 meters? We'll do... Can I set this manually? Is that a thing? Can I shift? Oh, shift click is that. Oh, control click is how I get them to be interesting. Smaller increments. That's fine. So yeah, I'm just going to do some bushes across here to kind of line this area and make it look a certain way so that we have, I don't know, a little bit more landscaping than we otherwise would. That looks fine to me. I'll do exactly the same thing on this side. And honestly, that's probably going to be about all I want to do with this space. I'm not really that invested in making it look amazing. It looks fine, right? It's just to fill in those little spaces that we had left over. We've got these buildings coming together as well, which is fantastic news. We've got this little tower here, which honestly, I actually really like that. I think it nicely feathers out this skyline. And so at this point, it kind of just leaves me with this empty space, which I do want to do something with. And the star of the show, this completely unnecessary change to 2 separate one-way roads as opposed to a boulevard, because I'm such a genius. This whole thing, stupid and unnecessary, but I like it. I think it looks cool. And honestly, traffic's starting to figure it out. So that's good too. Oh, I forgot about this bit. This also needs a line of trees. All right. So I think what I'm going to do here is use this as our midpoint because it lines up relatively well with City Hall. It lines up nicely with the university. And so if we measure this out, this is 25 units in here. And this side is 25 units. So that's perfect. So if I go, let's say 7 here, and I go 7 here, and we kind of go out this way, and we go out this way. Obviously, I want this all connected together, but my thinking is that we can sort of push people around a little bit like this, and we can use this as kind of the core design of all of these little areas. So we kind of, well, you know what? I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it a little bit more similarly to the Park Avenue design. So instead of one kind of central bulb thing, we'll do 2 on either side. We can then do maybe, oh, do I want to do 3? I think I want to do 4 or 5. That's 4 units. That's whatever. We'll do that. So it's telling me it's 4 units. We'll say it's 4 units. It's actually looks like 5, but that's fine. And then we'll just sort of connect through the middle like that. I think that might look better, having sort of the 2 sections at either end. I don't know. I think that might look better than just the one big one in the middle. It gives me a little bit more room to play with, makes things look a bit more interesting. Yeah, I prefer that. And then after a few minutes, we end up with something like this, which I think looks okay. But then I started thinking, well, would this look better if it wasn't such a sharp kind of angle and it was more of a curve? And I experimented a little bit, and yes, it would look much better if these were curved. It would look even better if these flowed a little bit more into these bits of path right here. I don't know if I'm prepared to go that far with it. I'm gonna be honest with you. That just sounds nightmarish. I'm not gonna lie. It just does. It does not sound like a fun process, but basically the way I've been setting up these curves is I just extend these bits of path a little bit. So something like this, take out all of these parts here. It leaves me with a nice little square. And then all I need to do is go in with a regular old curve tool, have my my guidelines on, and just do this. We do this. We do exactly the same thing here. And we do exactly the same thing here, taking out all the parts that we no longer need. And then we get some curves, which looks great. Again, would probably look better if it's all flowed together a bit more, but yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I have to do that tedious whole framework thing for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more times. And so with that done, this is part of the developer menu. This is part of developer mode. Now, what I can do with this is go in and I can just search for surface. And this is where we get a bunch of surfaces. And what's exciting about the surfaces is I can go and grab any of these and I can place them as though they're like an industry area. And they also snap really nicely to paths. So we're going to use this tiles surface 1 for a second here and get an idea of what it's going to look like. And I'm just going to snap it sort of to the inside of this entire section of path, because I really like the idea that these little, I don't know, eye sections, whatever we're going to call them, sort of eye looking things. I like the idea that they'd have tiles in them. I just don't know what tile surface 1 looks like, so I'm going to just do it live. I probably could just test it, but that looks kind of cool. Obviously there's some gaps here and there, but I don't hate that. I mean, it could be better, but I don't hate it. Honestly, can I just delete the entire section? Is that a thing? What is this? Is that the, oh, I can just click to delete the entire thing. That's so good. All right. Let's do a really quick test of what each of these tiles looks like. So this is tile surface 1, which looks like that. Tiles surface number 2 looks like that. Ooh. And then tile surface 3 was the one that we just played around with, which looks like, oh wait, no, tile surface, did we use tile surface 3? I don't know. I don't know if it matters. I don't know if I'm going to use any of these, honestly. We have some concrete surfaces as well. We have some grass surfaces too. This one is just a bit lighter, and I think this one is the fancy one with the lines. So it is, you can't really tell, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So here's what I'm thinking I'm going to test. We're going to see if tiles surface 2 will go underneath the path, and it does. I don't mind that. I think tile surface 2 is what we're going to go for on all of these, because it's just, it's a completely different color. It's that nice tan color versus the gray of every other tile. So that's gonna be my plan here. I don't know if it's a great plan, but it's the plan I'm going with. And then I'm somehow going to detail these. I'm pretty sure add object just lets me search for any object. So in theory, I can go in here and search for benches. I can go in here and search for about anything I want, which is very exciting. I don't know if I love the idea of having to hand detail every single one of these things, but it's very exciting that this is now a thing I can do in City Skylines 2. I'm excited about that. Not necessarily the detailing, but the ability to do the detail is it's very exciting. Now, here's a little something I am wondering. I'm curious to see what this whole thing would look like if I was to go in here and play around with a grass surface. Now, I wasn't really planning on doing this because this might be a little much, to be completely honest. It definitely might be a little bit much, but I'm curious regardless. If I have this just sort of snapping to the edges of everything, it can just go underneath the road, honestly, so that we have kind of that seamless thing going on. But if I do this, is that too much? I mean, this should be manicured. This should be elegant looking. You can kind of see the zones for these things, the surfaces underneath the path right now. That won't be there when it's done. I guess, again, there's really only one way to test this theory of whether or not this is going to be too much, and that's going to be to just go in here and do it a couple of times and see what it looks like. I don't have as much faith in this grass being a good idea as I do in those tiles being a good idea, but I'm willing to give it a shot. So this is another cool detail with developer mode and the line tool. You can go in here and get fence pieces and use them to line whatever you are building, which is what I'm doing here. I'm just using some single fence pieces, some fence residential piece low short 02 to line all of my little park segments along the middle of this road. I'm not going to go so far as to line these parts here because I feel like that might be a bit of a pain to try and get to line up perfectly. But, well, actually, in saying that, it's not really that difficult. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's about as good as it needs to be. So if I was to do the same on this side, yeah, we can kind of get an idea of that coming together. That's actually I really like that. I really wasn't wanting to do that. I was hoping to not find that easy to do, but yeah, I'm not going to bother blocking these parts because it's all pedestrianized anyway. But I guess up here, it's going to be sort of a similar story since it's the avenue. We just want to sort of click in the middle there and bring this into about that point, and click in the middle roughly there and bring this into about that point. And it does look kind of good. This side's not going to line up quite as perfectly. We're going to have a little bit of grass left over, but honestly, not the end of the world. It's still bringing this all together in a really nice way that I wasn't really expecting to do this today. I'm not gonna lie. Wasn't really planning on getting into like a detailed build looking thing, but I'm kind of here for it. I'm not looking forward to doing this bit. I'll tell you that. That's a bit I'm not looking forward to doing, but the rest of it, honestly, once these fences are in, it's just time for trees. I've decided I'm not going to bother detailing these middle sections right now. If I can find like a single little fountain, then maybe, but I was looking at benches, right? I was looking at benches and I thought, benches are going to look great in here. And then I realized these are actually, these are quite large, these spaces that I built here. They're a decent size is what they are. And benches, not that big. My sense of scale is slightly off. I've made this all a little bit larger than it realistically needs to be. And as a result, if I wanted to detail it with benches, it would take forever. So I'm not going to. Simple as that. I'm just not going to. And there we go. We have a bunch of trees in here. They're linden trees, by the way. We have some fences and some bushes. And I would do more to this. I mentioned I was thinking of doing a little fountain in some of these little spaces, but developer mode breaks from time to time. When you close some of the menus, it might not reopen again. And that has happened here. So instead of just putting some stuff in these spaces, feel free to give me some ideas in the comments below. Because what we could do, I mean, we have how many of these things? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 11 like little ovally diamondy spaces. We could do like 11 things in each of them. I don't know if that's a good idea. They can't be like huge, but like maybe each one has a theme. Maybe each one represents like, I don't know. Oh, what's going on down here? Oh no. I built the projects, by the way. I used developer mode for this as well, because this was me testing developer mode to get these buildings. And I I think the buildings have been abandoned because of small homes, apparently. Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate. I don't love how this turned out anyway. It's kind of why I haven't shown it at all today yet, but I'll rework this. I'm probably going to make it slightly, give it a slightly larger footprint per building. So we're going to have fewer buildings overall. I think that'll probably help us out a little bit and make this look better. And by the way, it was actually a suggestion in the comments on the last episode to run the train line sort of down along the waterfront here. I love this. It's such a cool looking thing. And I'm so excited to hook it up to something. I don't know what I'm going to hook it up to, but I think it's going to look great. And I'm very, very excited to do that. So 100% that was a suggestion in the comments. And that's reminded me, for whatever reason, that I need to rebuild this little area. This was also something I think I built between episodes. It is a signature building. It's Kane Residences. It gives us +1 attractiveness citywide to shopping, I think, and +10 well-being within 1.5 kilometers. So just a cool looking building. I really like how it turned out. It's got a little alleyway up the side of it. And I'm actually thinking, honestly, we probably don't need this crosswalk here. That can go away. There's crosswalks at either end here. And, you know, I'm going to get rid of these crosswalks here because they can just cross down there. So let me just get rid of you and you. So those flow straight through, which is fine. Obviously, there's still traffic lights, but that's fine. I'm not too worried about it. What I would like to do is just take these guys out of here. And I'm just going to replace them. I don't know what trees those were, but I'm just going to replace them with a little something. I think they're pine trees. I don't know if I want to do a line of pine trees along here because they get kind of huge. I don't think pine trees are going to look as good. Spruce trees, maybe. Birch trees, I think, are what I'm going to go for. So let's just do a birch tree there. We'll bring the spacing down a little bit to maybe 10.2. We'll get a few right there. And I'm just going to do exactly the same thing. Sort of bring some birch trees across to here. And we'll get one more right about there. And that seems fine. I kind of like that. I need to stop using the line tool for everything though, because the fully grown trees, I mean, it's a nice luxury. I'm not going to lie. Absolutely love it, but it's a little much, I think. I'm also going to leave this space empty. I could zone here, but honestly, the extra little bit of concrete's not bad. And if developer mode was working, I'd maybe do some tiles in there just to differentiate it a little bit. But yeah, I think that's fine. Same with this, by the way. This is supposed to have the grass in the way that the other end of things does. But again, developer mode has decided that it doesn't want to work right now. So we're going to leave this little bit empty and open for the time being. I also don't know that I love this whole thing that's going on here anymore. I think this is almost too densely packed. Once these trees grow in, I think that's going to look a little bit much. So I'm going to just redo these trees. The bushes are fine. The trees themselves, I think, are just going to be a little bit much. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. I might have overdone it with the bushes now, but I like this sort of alternating thing going on with the trees. So that's fine. Well, you know what I've just realized? I want this Park Avenue thing, right? This whole like buildings on this wider avenue. This is the perfect space for it. If can I put zoning in there? If I get rid of all of this, am I gonna regret getting rid of all of this? I might. I don't want to get rid of all of it until I know I can get zoning in there. But if I put a little notch in the path right there and delete this bit, can I get zoning in there? Yeah, I can. I'm gonna have to get zoning in there. It just makes sense. The whole point of this whole thing is this like Park Avenue vibe. So we're not going to build right up to in front of the hotel thing, but we will build up to about, I'm going to say here, essentially, is where we're going to build up to. So this tree can go away. We'll cut the path down to here, and then the rest of this can just be zoned, I guess. So we'll go in with the tree brush, and we're basically just going to get rid of everything that I just placed, which is fine. I did accidentally get rid of some bushes there that I didn't want to get rid of, which is slightly frustrating. Oh no, that got rid of some fences as well. And I can't replace those because developer mode's not working right now. Oh, don't do that to me, cities. Don't do, that's really frustrating. Oh man, that is not fair. That is not fair. We'll have to replace, I'm going to have to remember to replace those, but that's fine. It's a lesson learned, right? That's what we'll chalk it up to being a lesson learned. At the very least, let's just put the bushes back in here. These guys need to have a distance of like 1 between them. So something like this, we'll go up to about here. We'll cut across to about here. And what we'll do is just bring this kind of gradually sort of down and around this path. So that path is probably not going to get used all that much now because it's essentially useless. I mean, it gets you from here to there maybe a little quicker, but it's essentially useless, which is fine. We don't judge it for being essentially useless. It's totally fine. I'm sure, you know, some people like it, but we'll just do this, right? So this is going to be our little green space in front of this hotel. The rest of this is going to be North American mixed use housing. Now, admittedly, we have some weird corners on this. I don't know how that's going to play, but actually we got some pretty good looking buildings there. So I'm curious to see what this looks like. I think that's going to help with the Park Avenue vibe that I want here. So I'm kind of excited for these. And so now with this all built, I think I'm content with how it's turned out. And I think we're at about the point where I'm willing to say that we're going to leave it there for today. Obviously, there is still work to be done here. These little eye things need detailing, and we talked about that earlier. Suggestions in the comments, please. But I like this. The whole point of this episode was less so to expand the city and more so for me to kind of come to terms with developer mode and Anarchy and the line tools and all of that stuff. It was kind of to not introduce you to all of that, but also kind of give you an idea of, you know, give yourself an hour or two and you can make something that looks a bit like this. It's not amazing. Don't get me wrong. This is by no means amazing. I have seen some incredible things with developer mode and Anarchy and line tools. This is not that, but I still had fun, and that's what it's all about. I still had fun, and this is really cool. Just looking at this is really, really cool. It's annoying that developer mode has broken and I need to reboot the game to fix it. I'm probably going to do that as soon as I wrap up today's episode, but I like this. I'm really, really pleased with this. I love that we rebuilt the tram lines. I love that we got this avenue thing in here. I've been sitting on this idea. I know it's not a huge thing, but I've genuinely been sitting on this idea for weeks and it's been bothering me. So having this built, getting it off my chest is great. We can get back to expanding the city in the next episode. Either way, like I said, that is going to do us for today. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.